Scott Garner is on the radio broadcast for SMU football and men's basketball. He would call baseball there. He knows the sport. They just don't have baseball at SMU. I got to know Scott.
Hey, don't think we haven't been lobbying to get it, too, Phil.
TCU is not going to let that happen, Scott. It's okay. Neither will Dallas Baptist. But he joins
Great
us here.
point.
I got to know Scott during his time at the Frisco Rough Riders as their first ever radio voice. Scott, it's a pleasure having you on Halftime today. You got to be fired up about just being part of the college football playoff and the sort of season SMU has had.
Yeah, we better be real fired up, too, because when we get off that plane, I think it's going to be in the 20s.
Is that a hindrance at all to this team? Some people think that's a hindrance.
I would say ordinarily I would be concerned about it, but the temperature was in the mid-30s last game a couple of weeks ago against Clemson, and all wide receivers seemed to be okay, and Kevin Jennings was okay from the second quarter on. So I think you can psych yourself up about getting up for the game, and you can minimize what might otherwise be considered a hindrance.
Hey, Scott, Matt Jones here. I want to ask you about – hey, man, I want to ask you about SMU's offense. What would you say is the strength, and then what would you say is the weakness? Like, kind of what is something y'all are going to have to do with this offense against Penn State if y'all are going to get out there with the victory?
Well, I got to tell you, I think one of the keys for SMU is being able to hold on to the football for a long time. You know, one of the stats, we pour over stats all the time, and I think one of the stats that may not seem to be all that important to most people, but for this game is time of possession. And I think I counted this up the other day. SMU has won time of possession just 3 times this whole year in the games that they play. And one of the reasons why is because they score so quickly and they play with tempo. But I just think that you've got to be able to alter your tempo a little bit and keep the ball away from Penn State because they can get explosives. I think I saw the other day they've got like 45 explosive plays in the last 8 weeks or something like that. So they're known for their big linemen and they run the outside zone better than any team in the country, I think. But they're known for pushing people around inside, but they can get explosives. And I think to minimize that, I think you've got to keep the ball a while.
What do you think in the first year moving to the ACC and graduating up into a bigger and better level of football? And SMU's not the only school that's moved into a new league and ended up with the best record in that league. Heck, look at Texas. Look at
Arizona State, right?
Yeah.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
It's
Arizona
many
State,
of the leagues. It's why did SMU have the kind of year that they've had?
From a college football coaching standpoint, there are 2 things that you have to do really well to succeed. Number 1 is player acquisition, and number 2 is player development. And I think in both of those cases, I think Rhett Lashley and the entire staff, this is his 3rd year, but I think his entire staff has done a phenomenal job of making the players that we have better. I have never seen a team. I've been covering college sports now for over 30 years. I have never covered a team that improved more within a season like I've seen SMU improve this year. I go back to the Nevada game. We had to come back from multiple scores down just to win that opening game at Nevada in August. And if you compare what we are now from where we came from in August, it's night and day. And I realize the transfer portal era, that is true for a lot of teams, but I don't think it's true for most teams, not like this.
You bring up the portal, and I saw Oregon lost not a starting offensive lineman, but they lost somebody on the O-line. Penn State lost their backup quarterback to the portal. Has SMU been bitten at all? Do y'all still kind of have your 2 deep intact, or have y'all lost anybody to the portal?
Pretty much intact. Great question. Pretty much intact right now. Most of our guys, from what we know, are planning on coming back. Preston Stone, who essentially was our starter last year and started the year as the starter this year until he lost the job at the BYU game, has said that he is going to transfer out. He is getting into the portal, but he's staying with us through the playoffs, which is a little bit unusual because most of the time now you declare for the portal and, you don't stay with the team. But he's going to stay with us. He's been a trooper about the whole thing. We lost the job after week 3 and Kevin Jennings, our quarterback from that point forward, has done an amazing job. He lost his first game as a starter in the ACC championship game. Remember, Kevin Jennings, after Preston got hurt last year, made his first career start in the American championship game and beat Tulane last year. That's where we knew we had a little something there. And anyway, but to answer your question, most of the guys are planning on coming back that we know of.
I mean, it's a program that's flush with cash. I don't remember the number, but I think it was in the $140 million range that was raised for NIL purposes. And it's just kind of shocking to think about. SMU will get no media money from the ACC, but tell you what happens. If they win a playoff game, that's $4 million that goes right to the school. I mean, the way the ACC has set things up financially now, it is you win, you make more money. It's different from the SEC. I mean, you could end up with a pretty heavy windfall here for a school, Matt, Matt and Scott, that already is in a really good financial situation. Yes,
it's a little bit of a misnomer because, going into the ACC, SMU had to agree to forego getting television revenue for 9 straight years right off the bat. But it's a misnomer because when you're generating the money from the other areas and those other angles, SMU making more money this year than they ever would have staying in the American, getting the TV money from the American.
That's wild. We've talked a lot about the offense here for SMU. Penn State's got a really high-powered offense as well. Can the Mustangs, keep it in the 20s or the low 30s potentially? Because you have the kind of offense that can get to that point total.
We do. That's a great question. Yeah, and I think for SMU, I think you're right. I wrote down on my notes, I think you've got to score in the 30s, if not get into the 40s against this team. They are that high-powered. Penn State averages about 34 points a game, and they only give up 16 points per game. That's top 5 of the country. But, you've got to be able to score to beat them. But you look at their totals, and the one thing that you kind of get concerned with is when you look back and you see what Penn State's done in terms of the opponents and what they've done against them. Yes, Oregon scored 45 against them, but, you look at some of these other teams that are really good. I mean, I think Minnesota a pretty good year. They only scored 25 against them. Ohio State, number 4 in the country at the time, ends up scoring 20 points off of Penn State. I mean, things like that concern you a little bit, but when you look back at the ACC title game, SMU, put up, 17 points just in the fourth quarter alone. This is a high-powered offense. SMU averaging, close to 450 yards per game, scoring almost 40 points per game. You can put up points. You're going to have to do it, but you have to do it in front of 106,000 fans that I don't know that we have ever played in front of, even back into the Pony Express days in the early 1980s. It'll be the most raucous crowd. It'll be the coldest, I saw a tweet earlier this week, worst weather conditions ever for a Penn State home game. Now, they haven't played this late in December at home ever, but, there's going to be some adversity, no question.
Scott, I want you to handicap this for me. Who do you got playing in the championship when the dust settles? Who are your 2 teams you got going?
I got to tell you, as much as I wanted to go to South Bend and to play a game over, if we weren't going to be able to host a game, I thought, man, where would it be the most awesome to go to? I thought South Bend might be the place. I'm telling you, I've seen Notre Dame play 3 or 4 times. I've watched entire Notre Dame games this year, and if they lose, whoever beats that team will have earned it. Those guys are really big up front. I think Nick Saban is 100% right about this. Everybody's got skill players. Everybody can throw and catch. The championship is determined in the trenches. There's no question about it. We found out firsthand the first snap of the game at Clemson. They've got one of the best DNs. best edge rushers in the country. And our left tackle, I don't even think he put a hand on him that first snap. And Jennings got strip sacked, and it was downhill from there in the first quarter. But I'm telling you, these games are decided up front. I don't care what anybody says.
Scott, what makes Lashley such a good coach? You know, people here in Arkansas now, they've kind of had designs on him maybe being an Arkansas coach at some point, but I know SMU's got him tied up for quite a while.
No, we've extended him, Phil. I don't know what you guys are thinking of. Now we've extended. I think we've got him through 2040, from what I hear. You guys keep your hands off of it.
The thing I think about Rhett, and I shared a quarterback room with Rhett for a few years, and one of the things about Rhett is he loves the whole process of it. He loves ball. Yeah. Like, that's the thing, and you can just see it's contagious because he loves Monday just as much as Tuesday as Wednesday. He just loves the whole process of it.
You know, and most coaches, I think, are like that, but I think when it gets down to it, he puts the work in. He lets his coaches coach. He hires great coaches. I'm serious this is not, spin here. I have not seen a team improve like this in ever. From every position group, from the D-line to the linebackers to the cornerbacks, which, when the year began, our corners were definitely a liability. They've become a strength of the team. Are you kidding me? This is a playoff team whose liability was that cornerback, and now it's a strength. We had 7 big breakups in man coverage against Clemson the other day. It was incredible to watch. But anyway, every position group has improved. That's what makes great teams great, and that's what makes great coaches great. That's all you need to look at. How much do they improve throughout the season? I've not seen a team improve like this ever. I think Rhett Lashley is the best coach going right now in college football.
It's an interesting dynamic with Texas in the playoff, and SMU marketing themselves as Dallas's team. I mean, they do that for basketball. Yes. They do that for football for very good reason. What's the city of Dallas like? How are they viewing this?
I look no further than people coming to the games. The last 3 games, I cannot believe the sellouts for most of the season, but particularly the last 3 games. That I've never heard Ford Stadium jumping like this. It's been so much fun. They're coming out. They never. I mean, it would take a full season to get 2 or 3 games worth of fans like we've had. But just to see that, and everybody's talking about the team, and I don't think that it hurts that the team that plays on Sundays is not doing that well this year. I don't think it hurts us at all, and it may help us a little bit. But yeah, there's definitely a buzz around Dallas, no question.
Well, Scott, we'll leave it there. I'll be rooting for you individually. For you, don't really have a dog in the race as far as this is concerned. But I want to give a listen tomorrow.
We're gonna be on Sirius. I think it's Sirius XM Channel 80. I expect you to be tuning in, Phil.
We're gonna have to buy a subscription for that, man. I just might do it too. Who knows? Scott, it's good to reconnect. I always enjoy talking to you. Appreciate your time. Enjoy this. You never know how often you get a chance to do something like this.
No doubt. Hey, we're going to have fun, and, we're going to get up there. We're going to play hard, and we'll see where the chips fall.
It's Scott Garner on the radio broadcast for SMU football and men's basketball, and it's great to talk with Scott.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your #1 source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.